Hello, it's Simon Zutshi here, and in this video I'm going to share with you how you can flip property without actually owning it. Now this is episode 88 of the Property Magic podcast, and we decided to put these onto YouTube, so I do hope you enjoy this. And this is actually part 2 of a 5-part series all about how to use purchase options and purchase lease options. Now in this episode, you're going to learn how you can flip property without owning it, which means you need less cash and you make a higher return on investment. I'm going to teach you how to find these properties and how to sell them onto other people at a profit. But first of all, why should you be flipping property? Well, flipping property can be a great way to make lumps of cash. Typically, you need to find a property that needs some cosmetic improvements. Maybe there's another problem with it, such as it can't be mortgaged, it's uninhabitable, something like that. And then you fix it up and you sell it on for a profit. Now, normally when you flip property, you've got to buy it, you then do it up, and then you sell it on for a profit. This means you've got to buy with cash, or you can put down a 25% deposit and obviously get a 75% mortgage. You then got the buying costs, such as the legal costs and stamp duty. Then you've got to spend money doing the property up as well. And then you've got to wait 6 months before you can actually sell the property due to the 6-month rule. Now, the 6-month rule is where if someone's buying a property, the lenders get very funny if the person you're buying it from has owned it for less than 6 months. They think something strange might be happening. So generally, when you flip property, you have to hold it for at least 6 months before you sell it on to someone else. However, there is a different way. There's an easier and more profitable way for you to do this. And that's what I'm going to share in this video. Instead of buying the property, you could control it with a purchase option. You don't need a big deposit or a mortgage. You don't have to pay stamp duty, and you can sell it before 6 months. This means you make a much better return on your investment because there's less money used. Now, what is a purchase option? Now, if you don't know what a purchase option is, you need to go back and listen to part 1 of this 5-part series, which is episode number 87 of the Property Magic podcast. That episode is an introduction to purchase options and purchase lease options, otherwise known as PLOs. So how do you actually do this? Well, this is known as an assisted sale. That's the name of this particular strategy. You're not buying the property, but instead you're helping someone sell their property. Now, first of all, you need to find a motivated seller. This is someone for whom the speed and certainty of the sale is more important than the amount of money they're going to get for the transaction. Now, depending on the situation, you can sell this back through an estate agent, you could sell it in auction, or go direct to another investor. Now, obviously, you've got to make sure the correct paperwork is in place to protect yourself, including a power of attorney. There will be more details about this in one of the future episodes in this 5-part series. Now, you might be thinking, why on earth would an owner agree to this? Why don't they just do it themselves? Well, often they've been struggling to sell their property. Maybe they don't have the money required to do it up and make it more marketable. Maybe they don't want the hassle or have the time to do it themselves. And you've got to really kind of get into their shoes and understand their perspective. You might think, oh, I would never do this. It doesn't mean that other people won't. You've really got to kind of walk around in their shoes and empathize with their situation. And the final thing is, you can actually give them more money this way than if you did a straightforward purchase with them. Now, one thing I just want to be really clear. Options only work in certain circumstances. They are just one tool you should have within your investor toolkit. And every deal could be different. In the right circumstances, however, this can be better for everyone involved. And remember, you could potentially give the seller more money doing it this way than you could with a traditional sale. And after all, most sellers want to get as much as they possibly can from the sale. So when you secure a purchase option instead of buying a property, you will actually save money. You don't have to pay stamp duty for a start because you're not buying it. Someone else is going to buy. The end buyer is going to pay stamp duty, so you don't have to pay it. You don't have the cost of arranging a mortgage because you don't actually own the property, you're not buying it, so you don't need a mortgage. You don't have 6 months of mortgage payments. Remember, when you flip a property, if you've bought it, you have to own it for at least 6 months. whereas you don't have to own it for as long, so you don't have these payments. In fact, you don't even have any mortgage payments because you've never bought the property. You will have some legal costs because you need to do things correctly through solicitors, but probably not as much as an actual property purchased. So all of these savings could be shared with the owner. These are expenses you would normally incur, which you're not going to incur. So instead, you can give some of that money to the owner, which means that they're getting more than they would than a traditional sale. Now, how do you find these kind of deals? Well, remember, we're looking for properties with problems such that the sellers might be motivated to do an option. Maybe they're trying to sell, but they can't sell. Maybe the property needs a lot of work doing to it. Probate properties are perfect for this. So when someone dies, they might leave their property to the family. It goes through probate. Very often these properties need work doing to them. They're a bit dated. They might be fine, but just dated. And the owners, they don't have the money or inclination to do it. So they just want to sell it cheaply, and you can help them with that. Estate agents can also be a great source of these deals. However, just to be clear here, you can't go to agents to say, can you tell me about any deals I can do on an option, because they just don't understand it. Alternatively, you could go direct to the vendor with a marketing campaign, such as landlord letters, newspaper adverts, leaflet drops, all those kind of things are great ways of finding motivated sellers. Now let's talk a little bit about working with estate agents. The reality is most estate agents have never heard of purchase options or purchase lease options. So if you go in talking about that, they just won't get it. They won't understand what you're talking about. Really important to understand that. For this reason, they're often not open to the idea of doing options. Particularly if you said, hey, I want to buy this property sometime in the future, not now, they're going to be thinking about their commission that they're not getting straight away. However, it can be a great solution for everyone involved. After all, you're going to help the seller get rid of their property, and the agent's going to get their full fee. So really, everyone should be happy about this. Now, right now, the agent is not making any money because they're not selling the property. And there's a risk if they don't sell this property, the seller might go to another agent or try and do it privately, which is maybe how they reached out to you in the first place. So we want to work with the agent to help them get their commission. We're not trying to cut them out. Now, you might think this sounds great, son, but how do I actually make money from this? How do you get paid? Well, look, you're going to agree an option price with the owner of the property. You secure the property on an option using the correct paperwork. You then add value through renovation. You sell the property at the full market value to an end buyer. And then the owner receives the agreed option price, which is obviously lower than the sales price. So they get their money. Then you get the difference between the option price that goes to the owner and the market value that you've achieved by selling it to a normal buyer once the property's been done up. This means you get your money back that you've put in for the renovation plus the profit. So you're flipping on getting the same amount of cash profit that you would normally, but you've had to put less money in because you haven't actually bought this property. Now, you always want to have a backup plan just in case you can't sell the property on to someone else. You want to have a backup plan because at the end of the option period, the owner gets the property back. You don't really want to have done their property up and then give it back to them. So how do you actually sell the property? Well, there are three main ways of selling. First of all, you get an estate agent who can sell the property for you. Or you could potentially sell a property through an auction, or you could sell on to another investor. Now, if you're the person selling it, i.e. not through an agent or through an auction, then you really need to be a compliant deal sourcer to do that. But if the property is sold through an auction or estate agent, you don't need to be compliant because you're not the person selling it. It's the agent who's selling it for you, and they're going to get their commission for doing that. Some final words about this strategy. Sometimes you don't need to do any work to the property. You could just flip it straight through the auction. Now, obviously, you've got to have the correct paperwork in place to protect yourself, to make sure you get paid. And also, you've always got to do due diligence on the deal. It's got to be a really good deal. Only do this deal if you would do it as a purchase if you had the necessary funds. So we only do an option when an option is a great solution, not just because you can do an option. It must be a really good deal. So that is part 2 of this 5-part series. In part 3, which is episode number 89, I'm going to talk about how you can upgrade where you live. Let's say you're renting at the moment, you don't actually own. How can you get your foot on the ladder to get a property without getting a big deposit, without having to get a mortgage, and it's using a purchase lease option? Or maybe you're living in a property, your own property already, and actually that property could be turned into a rental. So you could actually move out of your own home. You could move into a better property than you live in right now, a bigger property, a better area, and actually it might cost you less money to do so, and then start renting out your home, or even sell your home on if it doesn't stack up as a rental. You're going to absolutely love this next episode. Now, in the meantime, I put together a special PDF document for you, which is the 8 questions to ask estate agents to get them bringing purchase option deals to you. Remember, you can't ask them for options. They're not really going to understand that. But these 8 questions get them to think about the circumstances where the sellers might be motivated enough to give you a purchase option. So if you go to www.plotraining.com, you'll be able to access that. Until next time, I'd encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. If you like this podcast recording, please hit the like button, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel to make sure you get the future episodes in this 5-part series, and also all of the other videos I have on this YouTube channel. Also, you might want to actually subscribe to my Property Magic podcast, which you can do. There's a link below this video. Finally, remember to download these 8 questions to ask estate agents to get them bringing potential option deals to you at plotraining.com. A link is in the description below this video. I look forward to sharing with you on the next video. Until then, invest with knowledge, invest with skill. Hey, I do hope you've got massive value from watching this and the other videos on this YouTube channel. I've prepared some extra training all about purchase lease options, which is the most powerful tool you could use to control property and works with every other property strategy. You really do need to make sure you understand about this. That's why I put this extra training together for you at no cost. All you have to do is click on the link below the video, come and fill in the details, and you get access to that training. And I really think you should definitely do it right now. I've also lined up another video for you that I think might be interesting for you to watch as well. So until the next video, remember to invest with knowledge, invest with skill, and click on the link and come and join me for that additional training all about purchase lease options.